Hey, Larry, I just want to say thanks for putting me on the call today with the SANG organization, and just really want to take the time to thank you. And what I wanted to do in the next 60 minutes is just really give you a lot of value and a lot of specialized knowledge. What you guys are about to get in the next 60 seconds is something I haven't read in a book, something I haven't studied. This is my practical experience. In the last 8 years, I've been doing a lot of seminars and a lot of webinars. What I'm about to share with you is my experience through all this. So what you're about to get is how to speak powerfully, close authentically, and profit outrageously. My name is Dave Van Hoos, and I own a company called the 7-Figure Speaking Empire. And I actually have two other partners, Dustin Matthews and AJ Poyton. As you can see that I'm the gentleman in the middle, and we call our company MVP and Associates. The nice, unique thing about that is my partner's name is Matthews, Van Hoos, and Poyton. So that's what we call ourselves MVP. And we've had the opportunity to do something really amazing in the last 2 years, is really work with a lot of speakers, work with a lot of promoters and authors, and really to get the conversions up on their webinars and on their live events. So this is going to be something I've never done before. I'm not going to sell you nothing. I'm going to kind of demonstrate the sales process and techniques so you can learn as much as you can from this and apply them. And anything that I give on this call, I want to give tons and tons of value to my friend Larry and the SANG organization. You can take anything you want from my presentation and you can duplicate and model it. What I've had the opportunity to do is do something very unique. I owned a company, and I'll tell you guys in a moment about my company Foreclosures Daily, but we've all heard of Pareto's principle, right, the 80-20 rule. And successful marketers know that 20% of their prospects buy 80% of their goods. Well, there's also the 80-20 rule in our industry. That states, and I've been studying this, that 20% of our industry does about 80% of the business, and they actually make up to 6 times more revenue than the 80%ers. Now there's another 80-20, which is the 4%ers. And the 4%ers actually create up to 56% more revenue in their business. And I'm seeing that when you're in the 4% club in this industry, you get to get on any stage you want. You've got tons and tons of business. Money isn't an option. You get to fly privately and just get to have a great time with your business. And what I want to do on this call is get you in the 4% club. I'm going to share with you as much information so you guys can duplicate and model. Now, what I've been studying is presentations and this business. And what I've noticed is that a lot of people think to get in the 4% is a huge gap. But actually, it's not a huge gap. It's actually small little adjustments to your business that actually gets you to the 4% club. So I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of great new ideas, strategies, and principles that you can use so that you can get in the 4% club. So I asked yourself, where do you belong? You know, you need to belong in the 4% club. So I just want to kind of give you a quick history on myself. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a presentation. I'm going to give you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I'm not going to try to sell you nothing. There's going to be nothing to buy at this call, but I'm going to walk through one of my presentations. So I'm going to sell you, but not sell you, so you can experience some of the things that I'm doing so you can learn. Well, about 8 years ago, I started a company called ForeclosuresDaily.com, and we had the unique ability to be able to do seminars. We did a lot of real estate seminars back in the day. And my company started to grow, and I started to really, when I first started doing seminars, I actually did them in a little restaurant, had about 10 people, and then built that up to doing over 200 seminars per month being a promoter. And in the process of us being a promoter, then I had the opportunity, as you can see the screen here, I had the opportunity to start getting on the road and start speaking, not once a day, but twice a day, up to sometimes 5 times a week, doing my same presentation over and over again. And so in the process of doing that, for the last 4 years, I've actually done over 2,000 presentations. And so what I'm experiencing, what you guys are going to get from me today is, like I said, something I haven't read in a book, but doing over 2,000 presentations. Now, I can tell you this, I did so many presentations in the exact same presentation that I would have the ability to be able to change one little thing in my presentation. I got to change the color of my suit to figure out what color was selling the best. I got to figure out how to anchor the product down. Where do you place the product and position in the room? Also, I'm going to teach you some strategies here about how to anchor down the back table, how to anchor down yourself. I'm going to talk a lot about product, and I'm going to go over as many different things as possible for you so that way you can learn from this. So I did over 2,000 events in the last couple years here, and some of you guys have read this book by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about the key to success is, or to become a master at something, is you need to do 10,000 hours. Well, I've done over 10,000 hours in presentation, so I guess that makes me an expert. So what I do is in my presentation, I do a lot of events. I just got done doing one a couple weeks ago in LA for Jeff Adams. It was a speaker event. There was about 200 speakers in the room. And what I did is I demonstrated from them live what I was doing and how I was selling them, and I actually sold $200,000 worth of product and service while I was showing them exactly what I was doing. So I'm going to share with you how I did this so that you can see it and experience so that you can add it into your presentation. Now what I just did is one of the things I do in my presentation is becoming the expert and a guru is very important, because if you're the expert and guru, when you get on stage, then people will listen to you. And so when you tell people to get up and go to the back table to buy your product, or when you tell them to go to your website to buy your product, they're going to do it because you're the expert and guru. Very important thing, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. So in my presentation, I don't say I'm the expert. What I did is I used Malcolm Gladwell to tell them that I was the expert, so that way they accepted the information from Malcolm and not from me. It's just a little strategy that I use. So one of the things that's very important when you must shake their hand. And what happens is that transition of power from that speaker, that promoter, the person that they're there and that they respect and trust, goes right onto you. So I see a lot of failure in speakers just getting up there doing poor introductions and not shaking your hand. It's very important for people to see that. And so in my presentation here, I actually use a strategy to have Malcolm Gladwell talk a lot bit about him and his book and his story about how to become an expert in about 10,000 hours, and so that I told them that I had 10,000 hours, so I must be the expert. A little strategy I used in my presentation there. Other strategy I used to build up credibility about me is I was in the Inc. 500 magazine. I took my company on my credit card within 4 years to the 35th fastest growing company in the United States in the seminar business. So I had a great opportunity to learn from the ground level up. Like I said, we did 200 seminars per month. Sometimes I had 10 teams. I had the unique ability to be able to speak twice a day, 5 days a week. And then I had an awesome opportunity to then go out and train 10 different speakers to do the same presentation I was doing to get the same results. So one of the things that I've been able to master is not only closing from the front of the stage, but actually duplication. And that's a big thing that I think a lot of people are struggling with. There's a lot of famous speakers out there that have created their whole business around them. And what I do is I teach people that you can actually duplicate yourself. And so what I'm about to teach you is some strategies. So not only the presentation works for you, but what I do for a lot of folks is I actually create a presentation that will work for anybody, and that's really important. It's good to have a great speaker and to have a guru, but you can actually duplicate yourself and get the same results. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I've been able to create the same results. What I've put together and what I've learned is I have an exact mathematical formula, a precise way to put a presentation together, how many exactly slides to use, where to put the testimonials, where to put the trial closes, and I'm going to share with you these strategies here in a moment. So after I do my presentation, I get excited about my accomplishment and why I'm the guru. Now, one of the other things that you really want to do in your presentation, when you in the beginning, is you really want to turn up the pain and then offer the pleasure. Sales 101 talks about pain to pleasure, and I don't see a lot of speakers out there turning up the pain enough. And so in my presentation, I turn up the pain. I say, you know, I see a lot of speakers out there that they don't have a presentation. I see a lot of speakers out there that are not closing very well. I see a lot of speakers not anchoring down themselves or the back product, and they don't have good conversion rates on webinars. What I'm doing in my presentation is I'll turn up the pain, and then what I'll do is I'll offer the pleasure with our product. The other thing that you need to do is when you first start your presentation is you've got to get them into a yes state. Great salespeople understand this, that 7 yeses equal a sale. So you have to get the prospects or the folks on your call or in the room into yes state. And you see a lot of great speakers, the very first thing they do is they get them into yes state. And I know a lot of you have heard of a lot of speakers. The very first thing they say is, you know, how many of you want to make more money? Put them up and say, oh, yeah. You know, how many of you want me to show you a proven step-by-step system that will virtually guarantee you to do 30 deals in the next 30 days? So what these speakers are doing is they're actually getting folks in the audience or on the call into a yes state. One of the most important things is you have to get them to say yes, yes, yes throughout your presentation. So the other thing that's very, very important to do is to start with some humor. Just kind of really, really break the energy in the room and just kind of do like a pattern interrupt. Just get them, you know, have a joke or just have a way for you to start with humor. Very, very important to break down the tension between the room. One of the other things, too, is that a lot of speakers on stage really are not fun to say yes to. So you really just need to have fun up there, and one of the most important things you can do is have an inner smile. I see a lot of speakers that get up on stage, they're not smiling, they look like they're kind of angry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but you need to have an inner smile. And when you have a smile on your face, you can basically tell anybody anything, and they'll accept it. We see it on the news all the time that, you know, the newscaster talks about 33 people have died today, and he's going through and he's talking, but he has a smile on his face, and that's what makes it acceptable into the conscious mind. Now, I'm going to be talking to you a lot of different things on this call about the conscious and the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind really is responsible for 90% of the buying activity I'm seeing. And so what I'm going to share with you is most of the buying decisions that are made are subconscious. And so that the subconscious, when it sees a smile, accepts that information right into the subconscious. It doesn't block it out. So great salespeople know that they put a smile on their face when they're asking for the credit card or they're asking for the sale. They have a great smile on their face, and they figure that strategy out. Another great thing that you have to have is when you do a call or you on stage is you got to have great energy. You really got to have great energy. Tony Robbins is a great example. He's got great energy. And I know that he just gets his vibration level up and his energy level up. And one of the things that I learned when I first started speaking is I was very nervous. And I knew that if I could get my energy level up, I get my state up, that I can really, really just take control of the room. And so what I would do is I would actually listen to music before I got up on stage. I would usually work out before that day, eating healthy food. I know Tony Robbins talks about jumping on a trampoline. So you just want to get your energy level up. And when I used to do my presentations, I used to have just amazing energy. And I remember at the end of my presentations, a lot of people just said, man, you just really, I could feel you as you walked in the room. And all I was using is just getting my energy level up. So it's very important if you have an opportunity to speak on stage or speaking on stage, just get your energy level up. And there's a couple strategies there you can use to get your energy level up. The next thing you need to get, like I talked about, into a yes state. I've also studied NLP and hypnosis for the last 4 or 5 years, implemented some of the things that I've learned from there. And as a hypnotist, one of the things that I've learned is that small commitments equal a big commitment. And one of the things that you got to do as a presenter is you got to get them taking small commitments. And you got to be fun to say yes to. You got to ask questions that they can say yes to. Now, one of the things that you need to do, the very first sale in your presentation, if you're doing live presentation, is you've got to get them to start raising their hand. I know we've seen that strategy a lot, and it's been used a lot, but it works. So what I'm going to give you is what's going to increase the sale. And doing small commitments, getting them to raise their hand, is very, very important to do. So taking control of the audience. So when you get them to raise their hand, ask questions that they're going to say yes to. Like, how many of you want to make more money? And they're going to say yes to that. Now, when you start off in the beginning of your presentation, you have to sell them to get their hand up. And if not, you're getting a lack of response, you have to force it up. I'll give you a quick little example. I start off my presentation always, how many of you want to make more money? Put up and say, oh, yeah. And if their hand isn't up, what I do is I force it up. I stop and I take my other hand and make them get up. I said, folks, I flew all the way from Tampa, Florida to be here. How many of you want me to show you how to make more money? So I'm forcing their hands up. Now, I know Marshall Silver uses a technique where he asks them, how many of you want to make more money? Put your hands up. And he says, if your hand isn't up right now, go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave. Because what I'm about to share with you is how to make millions of dollars. And so what he does, he smacks them in the face and makes sure that he gets their hand up in the air. Because if you can't sell them on raising their hand, at the end of your presentation, they're not going to run to the back of the room. The other thing that you got to do is you got to take control of your audience. You got to get them to write something down. So what I have them do is a quick little strategy. Have them write down 3 simple steps for success. So what I want to do is I want to get them to start writing something down. So I'm doing small commitments. And a good strategy I do to get them to write something down is I say the fact of, you can write this down now or later. And they'll start writing stuff down. Just be fun to get them to start writing something down. The other strategy I do to take control of the audience is I get them to stand up. And in my old presentation, stand up during a presentation, and then I made a little joke about it. Because what I'm doing is I'm getting used to taking commands from me, and so now that they've standed up once, and it was fun to say, yeah, stand up to, so when I ask them to stand up at the end, they will listen to me. So what you're doing is programming your audience. So if you don't have your folks standing up in your presentation before the close, you're actually costing yourself sales. The other thing I always have them do is I have them turn to their neighbor and usually say something and create a mantra. Because what I've noticed is that, and I've been studying this, that the mind only pays attention and focuses on something for 7 minutes. So in your presentation or on your webinar, you need to consistently, every slide or every 7 minutes, you need to be taking control of them, getting them to do something, to write something down, to turn to their neighbor and say something, to raise their hand, to stand up. So every 7 minutes. Now, what I do in my company is very unique. What we do is we actually script out people's presentations. I've been writing a lot of webinars, scripting out like an actor. And so one of the strategies that we use when we write people's presentations is every slide we have a trial close in every slide. So that way every 7 minutes they're saying yes and they're trial closing to something. So we've been able to duplicate that in people's presentation. So one of the things that we also do when we write people's presentations, we've been doing is we've been scripting out people's webinars. And kind of I want you to think about like this. This business, the speaking business, is almost like the entertainment business. People would rather be entertained than educated, and this business has turned into more of an, unfortunately, entertainment business. So we've noticed this, that people will pay more money to be entertained than to be taught. And so we've been using a lot of strategies in entertaining folks. And so what we have to do is is write people's presentations kind of like what an actor would get. Tom Cruise plays a part in a movie. Give him the script, he memorizes the script, and he plays the role, and he wins the Emmy. Same thing with presentations. I very, very believe that your presentation should be scripted out before you get up on stage. And that's one of the things that I did, is I had my presentation so word for word scripted that before I got up on stage, I knew exactly what my outcome was going to be. I was so scripted down to the point where I would pick up my glass of water at the precise time every time to basically to control the room and the environment. So scripting out your presentation is very, very important. I see a lot of speakers just go up there and try to wing it, and I don't believe in it, because me as a promoter and other speakers, when I have somebody come to my webinar or to my event and speak, I want them to be prepared, because it costs so much money nowadays to put events on it that the speaker needs to be prepared. And so what we do is we bring folks in and we script out their webinar or their presentation like an actor. And in our sales formula that I talked about, we have a precise, exact formula that works every time. And so what we do in the beginning of the presentation is a strategy something like this. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. And that one little easy strategy right there really, really is amazing what it can do to your presentation. So right in the beginning of a presentation, we write it. We kind of basically tell them what we're going to tell them. But what you're going to do is you're going to hook them into your presentation. And how you do that is something like this. In a moment, I'm going to share with you and teach you strategies to increase your close. What you're about to get in the next 60 seconds is, what I'm going to show with you right now is, what you're going to get is my one strategy that's going to show you how to make $1 million. What I'm doing is I'm exciting their imagination. I'm telling them what I'm going to tell them. A real great, easy way to do this is just make them a promise. Example, I promise you 2 things in the next 90 minutes. I'm going to share with you how to buy houses with no money down, and I'm going to show you how to buy them in today's market. So all you have to do is make a promise in your presentation right in the beginning to kind of set the tone, to kind of, what you're going to do is you're going to captivate them to stay to your presentation. So another thing that I want to talk to you about is opportunity. I see a lot of speakers, when they do live presentation, they don't give the opportunity to the end. And I've been studying this, and to give your opportunity right away is the most important thing you can do. And when I used to do my foreclosures daily presentation, from 3 to 5 minutes, you must let them know that you're there to sell them something. You have to go over the opportunity right away, right off the beginning, because you only got 90 minutes to really get them excited about your product. And I see a lot of speakers that wait to the end or to the middle. No, you need to get it out of the way right away. Now, why is it important? Well, because once you experience something fully, it vanishes. I'll repeat that again. Once you experience something fully, it vanishes. So what we do is we teach a lot of speakers to say something like this. How many of you here think I might have something to sell you at the end of my presentation? Put your hands up. I just make a joke about it. You know, well, I hate to let you down, so I'll just do that. And everybody laughs, because everybody knows if they're at a seminar or on a webinar, they're not stupid. They know they're going to be sold something. So just let them know, get it out of the way. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, I want to wait to the end or build some more excitement about me. But dealing in Sales 101, if you're talking to your prospect, don't beat around the bush. Don't tell them and spend the whole day with them, and then, by the way, you have something to offer them. No, let them know right away, hey, I have an opportunity for you, an opportunity to be able to make a lot of money in real estate. I'm going to show you an exact system. So just let people know right away about the opportunity. So when we write a webinar or a live presentation, within the first 3 to 5 minutes, we let them know that we have something to sell them. Just like this. So right when I do my speaker presentation, my 7-figure Speaking Empire system, I let them know right away. I have a complete, done-for-you speaker system. And I show them and I walk through all the components of that system. So right away, because what will happen is that in your presentation, now you told them what you have to offer, what you have at the end of your presentation. And the whole time that they're listening to your talk now, they're validating your offer through your testimonials, through your story. So now that they're actually validating what's about to sell them through the presentation. Now, I've been studying this. Why do people buy and why people don't? And what I've noticed is, and a lot of you already know a lot of the things I've been talking about, but I'm just reminding you of just some basic sales 101. Why do people buy? Well, you would think that people would buy what they need, but they don't. They buy what they want. I'll kind of give you a quick example. My wife has a girlfriend, and she needs health insurance, but she wants a Gucci purse. So what do you think she buys? She buys a Gucci purse, right? People don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. And so that's why a lot of guys have figured it out, that what they're doing is they sell this lifestyle. They sell what the people want. They want more money. They want freedom. They want to be able to spend more time with their family. And so I see a lot of people, when they do their presentations, somebody might have a website or technology, and they're trying to sell their website or technology. And they're walking through all the features of their technology, that the website does this. You can download it here. It's got this feature here. You can search this. And the more and more you talk about the features, the less you sell. People don't buy features. They buy benefits. That's right. What are the benefits of your system? So one of the very first things that I do when I work with a client is that, what are the benefits of your product? What are the and also they don't buy benefits, they buy results. What will be the results from your product? And so typically what a lot of speakers have found out, well, the benefits are what? They're going to give them more time, more money, financial freedom. So they're really going after the main benefit. And so in our presentations, what we do right before the close, and I'll show you in a moment, is we have a benefit slide. Here are the benefits of our system. More time, more money. You're going to get on more stuff. Now, there's a lot of multiple events going on with multiple speakers, and customers or prospects will ask you about your competition. I had a gentleman named Kenny Russian. He came and was in Tampa, Florida. He sat down. He heard that there's a lot of speaker training, works with a lot of speakers. And he asked me, he says, Dave, there's some other guys out there that do what you do. You know, what do you think of them? And I said, they're all awesome. If you had the opportunity to work with any of those guys, I would. They're great at what they do. So it's very important never to slam your competition. And I tell him the benefits of working with me. So I mentioned, listen, if you have the opportunity to work with any of those guys, they can build great value to you. I would recommend seeing any of those guys. And the benefit of working with me is not only do I teach you how to do seminars, do I teach you how to do presentations, I do it for you. I write out your presentation for you. So never slam your competition. So I think the worst thing you can do. In your presentation, you need to tell them your backstory. You need to tell them your story. And a lot of speakers have figured this out. They understand that the story is one of the most important things in their presentation. And it is because write this down. Facts tell, stories sell. That's right. When I did my foreclosure presentation, about 25 minutes of the 90-minute presentation was my story. And the reason I did that is because in Sales 101, we know that you have to build rapport with your prospect. And so what your story is doing is building rapport with your prospect. Not only that, when you talk to them about your story, if they like you, they buy. And so in your story, you want to put as many things possible in there so that if you live in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, and somebody else lives in Michigan, they'll probably buy your product. So in your story, make sure that you tell your story. One of the things that you must do when you tell your story is get off the stage. I see a lot of speakers stay up on stage. And what happens is there's an imaginary line between the stage and the audience. It's like you versus them. You need to break through that So if you're on the stage, make sure they have steps so you can walk out right into the audience. Break out there. Walk up out there. Take your deep story voice. Slow down. Go and touch somebody and connect with the audience and tell them your story. Show them the magic. One of the things that you must have in your story is a pivotal point. Don't just tell them a story. I used to tell my story of how I got involved in foreclosures and real estate and how I had nothing. I tell my down and out story. People love down and out stories. They can connect with that. And so at the bottom of my life when I had nothing, I did this first real estate deal, made $42,000. And what happens is I have a pivotal point in my story. And when I had nothing, and then this one thing made it all happen. And so when you have that pivotal point, you have to make sure that you anchor down your product. And just all you have to do is just point at your product. I had nothing, and I literally, I lost everything, and I did this one real estate deal, made $42,000, and bam, I point at my product or pick my product up right at the pivotal point of your story. So what changed in your life? How can you make that change, and then you created a system, in your pivotal stories. What changed in your life that you can anchor down to your product? Good friend of mine, Than Merrill. A lot of you guys know Than. He's on Flip That House and A&E. We spent some time with him, kind of went over his presentation with him. He was mentioning to me, he's like, Dave, I'm just really getting tired of flying all the way from San Diego to Tampa, Florida. It takes 3 days out of my life, and I just don't have the time to do that. And he's like, hey, I know you can close. I know you're closing at a different ratio than most guys. Would you mind doing my presentation for me in Florida? And I was like, yeah, no problem with that, because I love to challenge myself. I said, yeah, let me continue. Let me go out and sell your products. It's good that I can sell mine, but let me go out and sell yours. So he told me, he's like, Dave, I've got an event for you. So I remember leaving his office in San Diego, and I'm flying home, and I land, and he calls me up. He's like, hey, Dave, it's Stan. I said, yeah. He says, hey, I got your first gig for you. I'm like, great. I'm like, where is it? He's like, Orlando. I'm like, cool. I can just drive over there. It'll take me about 45 minutes. And he says, well, it's tomorrow. And I stopped, and I really, didn't know his presentation very well, didn't know his product too well, but I decided to take the challenge. I went on stage, sold his product. Actually, the product didn't even show up. They forgot to ship the product, so I sold his product, imaginary product, on stage, and I outclosed everybody at the event. And what I learned from that is that when you know these principles, it's not about your product. Okay, it has nothing to do about your product. If you know the sales principles, you can sell any product. So what I like to do is I go and I sell anybody's product for them, so I know what's working out there. What is making people take action. So one of the things you have to do is you excite their imagination, excite their emotion. You got to get inside their minds. You really just got to excite their imagination. One of the other things is what's your USP? What's your unique selling proposition? Because when you're speaking, people are saying to themselves, okay, so what makes his real estate different than Ron LeGrand's, or what makes his different than Russ Whitney? So you need to tell them right away. And so when I do my speaker presentation, I tell people, I says, people ask me all the time, Dave, what makes you different than Marshall Silver? What makes you different than Joel Bauer? And I say basically, well, what makes me different is not only do I teach, but I script out your presentation for you. And what also makes me unique is I've had the unique ability to not only do 2,000 presentations, but the unique ability to be able to duplicate myself and get extraordinary results. So that's my unique selling proposition, let people know. Planting seeds throughout your whole presentation. Very, very important. Start planting seeds. And one of the things you must do is if you plant seeds about your offer, you need full price. Start planting seeds. A great way to plant seeds is through testimonials. Great strategy. You need to plant seeds about your offer and your product as testimonials. One of the things that we all know is that testimonials really, really help your close and your presentation. And I work with a lot of speakers. Last year I trained over 500 speakers. And the people that I've been working with is giving me extraordinary results. So I get texts from them all the time telling me how good they've done. And and what's going on with them. Nothing feels better to me than to see the people that I've worked with and helped with really close out there. And so in my presentation, this is a little strategy you can use. I use an iPhone because I get a lot of my testimonials from speakers. They text me the results. This is a picture of my iPhone. And this is Karen Hanover, a person that did commercial. We spent some time with her. We scripted out her presentation. She made like $300,000 at her first boot camp. And so when I do my presentation, I'm using testimonials because why? Well, social proof. People really get excited when they see other people having success, or they're social proofing your product or service. Here's another testimonial, Zach Childress. He came to me. He says, Dave, I'm closing like a banshee. I'm one of the hottest real estate speakers out there. I don't need your speaker training. I'm closing about 20% of the room. I watched him do his presentation. He said, you guys, 56 times in his presentation, we sat down with him. We figured out he had one or two little missing pieces in his presentation, and he sends us an email, and includes 42 people. In a room of 42, he closed 12 units, 30%. So we use testimonials in our presentation. Here's another one, Kelly O'Neill. She's in a very unique market, and she's marketing millionaires. We spent some time with her, scripted out her presentation, and she closed 25% of a free room, crushing it with her product or service. So we work with a lot of different people. So when you're doing your presentation, always have some good testimonials in there, some people that are really doing the business. It really helps the sale. The other thing, too, is to use, I've been studying NLP and hypnosis, just some real quick things about some techniques you can use. A strategy called a presupposition. And what this does, it allows the person to come up with the answer, not you. I'll just give you a quick little example. When I do my speaker presentation, instead of me telling people that I'm the best speaker, that I help people close, and that I don't tell them, so what I do is I use a technique where I ask them a question and let them come up with the answer. So I start off my presentation and I say something like this. Why do you think some of the biggest speakers in this industry are using MVP? And I ask him, I point to the guy, why do you think? He said, well, because you help them close better. I asked another guy, what do you think? Well, because you help them get on big stages. Because you help them close their webinar for conversions, give them confidence. And so what I did is I asked them that question, and they came up with the answer. And so because they came up with the answer, it must be right. So a good strategy, I'll give you another example. If you're doing a real estate presentation, you say something like this. Why do you think the banks are taking huge discounts on short sales? Just by answering that question, the prospects come up with the answer, and then since they came up with it, they believe it to be true. So great thing to add in your presentation. Really can use that presupposition to your advantage. Another good strategy is the word notice. What the word notice does is gets them ready for something. It pre-frames them. And you can use the word notice like, in a moment, you're going to notice people going to the back of the room and signing up. You're going to notice that people are going to be running to the back of the room. So you're pre-framing them. What you're going to notice is that this red BMW is going to drive and handle the road. You're going to notice that as you push the accelerator, you're going to feel the power coming off the pedal and feeling the growth. So what you're doing is you're pre-framing somebody just by using the word notice. The other thing, too, is another technique. It's called a skitoma, fill in the blanks. And some of you might have seen some speakers do it. Some of you might be using this technique and strategy. What this does is this gets people to engage in your conversation, hooks them in, and it keeps them from paying attention and focus. Remember I talked about the mind can only focus for 7 minutes? So a lot of speakers are saying things like this. How many of you want to make more? And the audience says money. How many of you want me to show you a proven, they say, system? So what you're doing in your presentations, your conversation, is if you can say something and have them fill in the blanks, then they're going to pay attention to you more. One of the strategies I used to use in my foreclosure presentation is I knew that a lot of people they want to buy your product and service, and they want to do nothing. They're just really lazy. They don't want. If you mention the word work, or if they have to do anything, if it's not easy, they're not going to do it. So I created a complete system that did everything for them. It was a done-for-you real estate system. So I would use this strategy like this. I'd say foreclosuresdaily.com, we'd go down to the courthouse steps, and we'd get the pre-foreclosure list. What have you had to do so far? Nothing, right? Foreclosuresdaily.com would take that list, and we'd send out your marketing letters to the people in foreclosure. What have you had to do so far? Nothing. Foreclosuresdaily.com would set up a 1-800 number. The secretary would answer the phone for you. What have you had to do so far? Nothing. Foreclosuresdaily.com would then take that lead. We would negotiate the short sale. What have you had to do so far? Nothing. So what I was doing is I was using that strategy to really engage them and get them excited, because we had a done-for-you system that did everything for them. All they had to do was sign up and they would become a millionaire. I talked about being the guru and the expert. Being the guru and expert, you have instant credibility, instant power. People are going to listen to what your words say. You need to be the authority figure. So before you get on stage, before you're marketing your webinars, you need to put in your marketing and make yourself be the expert or guru. One of the lot of strategies that the folks in Sayings have used is they have a book and they're an author that gives them instant credibility. So using that technique. So when you're going on stage, make sure that you know, hey, listen, I'm an author, and let them know that you're a guru in your business. You're the expert in this business, is because when you're the expert, they listen to what you say. It'd be the same thing as like if I was talking on stage, or if the President of the United States came on stage. He's the expert, and people are going to listen to him. He's a guru of this country, and so he can use that authority of power. Embedded commands. One of the most important things you can do is you need to anchor down your product. So what you do is you get people excited, you get them dreaming, you get them emotion inside of them. And then what you want to do is you want to anchor down your product. You can point to your product. You need to pick up your product. When you're talking about a testimony of somebody made a lot of money using your system, anchor down your product, pick it up and talk about it, squeeze it, hold it. Because I see a lot of speakers out there giving great presentations, but they're not then anchoring down their products. You need to let them know that this story, these testimonials, this money that people are making is because of this product. So you need to point at it. One of the things that I do a lot in my presentation, I point to my product 57 times. So every time I'm talking about something, I'm getting excited about it. I'm pointing at my product, so subconsciously they're picking that up. The other thing is you need to anchor down the back table. Because at the end of your presentation, when you're doing a live presentation, you need then to get up and go to the back table. So you need to anchor down the back table. I consistently always anchor down the back table or anchor down myself as the expert or guru. I had a story when I used to tell my foreclosure presentation. I used to tell people that I flew all the way from Tampa, Florida to be here, and I was telling them a story about Tony Robbins and how I listened to him and how he inspired me to change my life. And as I'm talking about the story, I'm talking about Tony Robbins, I point to myself. So what happens is that they're then experiencing that emotion, that feeling with Tony Robbins, and then I'm pointing to myself, and then they're taking that and believing that's me. They're taking that emotion on. And it was pretty amazing. I'd use that strategy, and I would tell people, I listened to Tony Robbins, and he changed my life, and this, that, and I'd point to myself. And then when I was done with my presentation, so many people up to me, oh my God, you sound like Tony Robbins. You reminded me of Tony Robbins. Well, I was using that technique to excite people. Geographical embedded commands is another great strategy that you need to use from stage, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that strategy here in a moment. Future pacing. You need to get your prospect thinking in the future. Salespeople know it all the time. Car salesmen and boat salesmen, they get you to start experiencing this in the future. Just imagine what it looked like driving your brand new Lamborghini down the road. What would that feel like? What would that be like? Just imagine pushing down the accelerators. So what they're doing is they're getting that future pace. A great strategy you need to add to your presentation is the when you. I've been studying this, and for the last couple of years I've studied that 90% of salespeople don't give a direct command at the end of their presentation. They do their presentation, their sales presentation, and they don't tell people what to do. So you need to tell them to go sign up. You need to go to the back table, go to the landing page to get involved. So an easy way to do this is write this down. You can write this down now or you can write this down later, is when you, and I'm going to give you an example. When you attend my 3-day event, I'm going to show you exactly how to close from the stage. When you sign up today, you're going to get a complete system, a turnkey situation. When you get up and get out of your chair and do the right thing and sign up today, when you look back 5 years from now, you know it's the best thing you've ever done. So just have the when you statements. It's just you're telling them exactly what to do. When you do the right thing and sign up today, it's the best thing you've ever done. So you need to make sure you use the when you look back. So just make sure that you have the when you statements. Repeat your offer so many times that it gets accepted in the subconscious mind. I see a lot of great speakers only make the offer up once or twice in their presentation. You need to repeat it so many times. I just want to give you a quick little example. A young kid, I don't know if any of you have kids, but if you have kids, you see kids. Kids, let's just say they want a candy bar. And they come up to their mom like, Mom, I want to get a candy. Can I have this candy bar? Mom says no. So they come back, Mom, I want to get this candy bar. And what they do is they've learned this strategy out. They continue to ask their mom so many times that eventually she does what? She says yes, right? So in your presentation, you want to do the same thing. Offer your product, the service so many times that it gets incepted into the subconscious mind. The if-all statements. If-all statements are very, very powerful statements. And you use this just like this. If all this package did was get you on more stages, would it be worth the investment? If all this system did was get you $1 million product launch, would it be worth the investment? If all this package did was make you a better closer and you made millions of dollars, would it be worth the investment? So the if all is a great, great strategy to use in your presentation. And if I have time, I'll show you exactly where you can put that in your presentation that will really increase your close by at least double. And a great, great strategy for it. Identify all the resistance. You need to make sure you overcome all the objections. So in your presentation, make sure you cover all the resistance, because if there's any resistance in your presentation, they won't buy your product. And a great way to do that is to overcome the resistance is through testimonials. When I work with somebody and I write their presentation, I ask them, what are the objections of your students? Why don't they buy? And a lot of them say, well, they just don't have the time. They just don't have the money. And so what I do is we come up with some testimonials, find some people and say, you know, Dave, here's a quick example. I have a testimonial. Somebody says, I don't have the time to do this. So I put a testimonial on it. Dave, I just want to thank you so much for your foreclosure investing system. I did this business part-time, and I did my first deal, made $42,000. Thanks, Dave. You know, and then I have another big objection when I sold real estate is a lot of people say, hey, I want to get involved in real estate, but I just don't have the money. So I had a great testimonial. Hey, Dave, I want to thank you. By following your techniques and strategy, I did my first deal, no money down, and I made $60,000. So know what your resistance are. Find out why your customers are not buying from you. And make sure you overcome those objections through testimonials, or make sure that in your presentation you overcome all those. One of the biggest things you need to do is when you do your presentation, you have to have a bigger reason. Because people are sitting in the crowd going, okay, if this guy is such a successful investor, he's making millions of dollars in real estate, why is he here at this real estate investor group with 100 people here? And so you have to have a bigger reason. And so my bigger reason was something like this. Folks, I'm not here to sell you a $7,000 real estate system. No, let me tell you a secret. No, I'm here to do deals with you. I want to partner with you. And so my bigger reason was I didn't want to sell them a $7,000 system. I wanted to be a partner with them. So a really easy way to show them a bigger reason is just tell them a secret. Hey, let me share this secret with you. I'm not here to sell you on coming to my $3,000 personal development workshop. No. My secret is here on setting up a charity foundation. I'm looking for qualified people that want to really change the world. So just have a bigger reason. Very, very important to have that in your presentation. Some of the other things is that I talk about voice and communication skills. You must hum your presentation. And what I used to do when I did my presentation so many times that I would sing my presentation when I was doing it. Hum your presentation. Get people excited about your presentation. You need to vary your pitch and your speed. One of the most important things that you can do is use the power of pause. An uncomfortable pause will control the room. And so when you're ready to hit on one of your high notes or when you're ready to hit on one of your biggest ahas in your presentation, you need to stop and then move on. It's a great strategy to really, really control and really hit home your point. The other thing, too, is you need to have good rhythm when you do your presentation. I see a lot of speakers out there that are very boring, they're very monotone. You just really need to get colorful and get excited, move your physiology around, take deep breaths. One of the things that you can learn from me is to be able to really become good at presentations is breathing. When I first started my presentation, I used to hold my breath and I used to talk so fast that I learned that when you slow down and take deep breaths in and you explode your breath out, that your voice becomes very clear. You can have great tone and pitch. That it really, really, really just makes your sound come out perfectly. And I was doing a presentation a little bit ago here, and it was one that I didn't have scripted. And so I was kind of a little bit, not sure what words I was going to say, and just kind of a little bit anxiety because I was speaking in front of a big peer group. And so all I would do is I would take huge breaths in, and I would explode my words out, and it came out very powerfully. Some other principles I just want to go over real quick is the law of reciprocity. We know that when we give, we receive, right? So I used to give out, back in the day, I watched The Secret. I was very passionate about The Secret. It kind of just got me to start thinking differently. And so when I would get up on stage, I always said to myself, I always want to make a difference every time I spoke. And so what I did is I'd give out The Secret to somebody every time that I spoke, just because I believed that if I could get that out to one person, that they can go home and watch it and maybe change their life and their mindset correct. So I used to give out The Secret during my presentation. And what I started to notice was that every time that I gave The Secret out to somebody, guess what they did? They actually bought the product. So it was pretty amazing. So another great strategy that I use during my presentation is I give out my product. I give out bits and pieces of my product away during my presentation. What I'm using is the law of reciprocity because I'm giving them, and then what they need to do is to give back to me is they need to sign for my product. The other great strategy is that when you give your product out throughout your presentation, it gives you the opportunity to talk about it and people to want it. And so we had 4 sections of our foreclosure presentation. We had one on how to buy houses, how to sell houses, how to market. And so I would give away, let's just say volume 1, So I'd say, how many of you want me to show you how to find a house? Well, great. Let me share with you that I've got 23 different strategies of how to find a house in my system here. This is going to teach you how to find your next house. You can do a deal in the next 7 days and make a lot of money. Who wants this? Who wants to be able to know how to find houses right now in today's market, great deals? Who wants this? And I'm getting them to want this. I'm like, who wants this? And they want it. And they're all screaming and yelling. Everybody sees it. Everybody wants this. And so then I just give that one little piece of my product out to that person. And so what happens is that now everybody wants it, okay? So guess what the only way they can get it is to go up and buy it at the end. And the person that I gave that product to, guess what? For them to get the rest of the system, guess what they have to do? They have to buy it. So I use that strategy to my advantage. I always go out in the crowd and touch somebody. You know, I always get out there and start connecting with people, put my hand on somebody and getting out there and start connecting with people. The law of scarcity. We see a lot of speakers using this strategy, law of scarcity. It works very well, but you must have a legit reason why you're only going to do 10 units today. People have heard this so many times, but you need to make sure that you have a good reason. The other thing is trial closes. If you can get anything out of me during this whole time we've been together, listen to my words, is trial closes makes a huge difference in your presentation. I just wrote a gentleman's presentation last week, and we had 82 trial closes throughout his 90-minute presentation, and he closed 42% of the room because he got them to say yes so many times that when he said, go to the back of the room and sign up, they said yes. So many times they said yes that they went to the back of the room and bought. So what I just want to share with you real quick is I know a lot of people are doing seminars. I know some of you have some big lists, and I know a lot of you think that you need to put big events on to make a lot of money. And we're working with some guys right now that put big events on with 1,000 people. And sometimes by the time that you do the big event and you have the cost involved, the profit margin sometimes gets very, very slim. But we sometimes do smaller events with 68. We had 68 people in the room, one of our customers, and they did almost $200,000 following these strategies we say. So even if you're somebody that doesn't have a big list or you're having a big list, sometimes smaller events are more profitable. So you just really want to take a look at that and make sure you're maximizing your events, because sometimes the bigger is not better. You know, who wants to be the next success story? In my presentation, I do a trial close. Right before I get into the close, it's, you know, who wants to be the next? Who wants to be the next person that makes $60,000? You know, who wants to be the next person right now that wants to make $100,000? So I just get them to raise their hand, and as soon as I got them to raise their hand, I got them. Because the only way for them to be successful is to, of course, buy a product. I just want to talk to you real quick. All buying decisions are based on emotion backed by logic. And so right before you get into your close, you need to get them emotionally charged. You know, this is actually one of my slides I had in my presentation. I had a custom limo, I had a yacht, I had $1 million plane of water. And so what I would do is I'd get them emotionally start experiencing materialistic things. Unfortunately, I've always hated this, but you know, people buy materialistic things. They, you know, that's why they're there. They want these cars and limos and stuff usually, and so, you know, unfortunately, you got to put that in your presentation. So I used to use that because I used to get real emotional about real estate, and then I used to go into my close. And the best way to segment into your close is to ask them a question. A lot of people I see do their presentation, and they kind of tighten up a little bit, and they just really, you know, change their tone, and so then they don't sell very well. So a real easy strategy is to basically ask them a question. It's something like this: who wants to see the exact system I use to generate millions and millions of dollars in real estate? Who wants to see the exact system? Raise your hands. Everybody raises their hand. Well, great, let me show it to you. And boom, I go right into the close. So for a very great strategy, just to go right into the close, ask them a question. So I hope you guys had a great time with me and just learning some of the things that we put into presentations. I've got a ton of more. I try to put in as much as I can. I have a 3-day event that we teach you step-by-step of how to put your events on. We have a 3-day speaker training, which is actually going to be in LA. It's actually a day after the SANG organization. We're going to be going over on day 1 marketing. I've got one of the best internet marketers named Dustin Matthews, my partner, who's going to be talking about product launches. He's been involved with 10 product launches as a product launch manager. He's going to be talking about how to fill the rooms at your event. What is the blueprint to get people onto your webinars? He's going to be talking step-by-step of all the marketing that's been working to fill the rooms right now. He's going to be going over that a whole day of structuring that up. On day 2, I'm going to be talking to you more about sales presentations, how to do the presentations, where to set your product up on the table, where to put your screen, how to anchor down your products, and be going step by step for a whole day on persuasion and techniques to close people from the front of the room and on webinars. A whole day on just that. And then the last day, my partner AJ Poyne is going to be talking to you about how to sell your coaching programs, how to have high-end coaching programs, which is where all your money's made. As on the back end, we're going to be teaching you how to sell $25,000, $35,000 coaching programs, how to set up your coaching program, how to run your events, the back tables, really logistics of putting the event on, and we're going to be going all over that. We charge $5,000 for the 3-day boot camp. I told Larry, since he's one of my very good friends, I want to build value for him and his organization because I really believe in what he's doing out. Anybody that calls Larry up or myself up will give you a free ticket to be able to come to our 3-day event. It's going to be small room. We're going to be teaching a lot of great speakers, all the strategies and techniques to really take their business to the next level. We've got tons and tons of experience. I'm going to give it away free to anybody that signs up for Larry's SANG event. I know he's getting a lot of great people at the next SANG event, and I know Larry, you have a lot of great people there. So since he's been a good friend of mine, helped me with a lot of different things in my life and my business, I'm going to build value for him, and I'm just going to give away my $5,000 boot camp to anybody that signs up for his SANG event. So I want to thank you guys, and if you ever want to get a hold of me, my email direct is Dave@SpeakingEmpire.com. That's Dave@SpeakingEmpire.com. If you have any questions, if there's anything I could do to help you and build value for any of the events that you have going on or any techniques to help you close better, give me a quick email. I'll try to do the best I can to get you on the right path if you're looking to get on more stages. Or if you have some good events coming up and you're looking for some great speakers, we train about 500 speakers a year now. We're scripting out people's presentations that are just really, really doing very well. It's one of the biggest things we've been doing lately is scripting out people's presentations. So if you have a webinar or event coming up and you want to get your presentation scripted, just go ahead and send me an email. We'll talk to you about how we can set that up. So I want to thank everybody for listening to me and have a great day. And Larry, just want to thank you again, saying, and have a great day. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.